All right, Mike versus the world. This installment, Mike. Obviously, right now we're in college football playoff season, and as everybody knows, there's a spot reserved in the New Year's Six for the highest Group of Five champion in the rankings.
Yeah.
Mike, this year things are going to get a little messy. Your contestants
Yeah.
could be
Ugly.
a two-loss Tulane team, a
Ooh.
two-loss Cincinnati team, maybe
Ooh.
a one-loss Coastal Carolina team. Those are probably your
Ooh.
most likely combatants. Maybe Troy
Mm-hmm.
sneaks in there. I'll highlight that though.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your main combatants, Mike, which obviously is a watered down version from what we've seen last year in Cincinnati, the last 2 years, UCF, Houston before that, Boise. So the question, Mike, is should a G5 team still get a chance at a CFP
You
spot?
can't. You're gonna say no. You're gonna say no, and I'm gonna have to combat this. Say
I'm going to
no.
say yes. I am going to say yes,
Oh,
Mike. I'm
thank
actually going to
God. Thank God. All right, go
as
ahead.
somebody who is rooted for a Group of Five team for the entirety of its
Mm-hmm.
existence, the opportunity
So
to have
excited.
entry to this dance is always one of the primary items. I recognize some of these teams aren't fantastic, Mike, but you're going to have some other schools. You're going to have a three-loss Kansas State team sniffing around some stuff, right? There, none of these teams are perfect. I think if you win your conference, you beat all the
Did you
teams in
say
there.
three loss Kansas State?
They're going to be around. If you win your conference, if you go through the gauntlet. In the case of either Tulane or Cincinnati, you'll have again beat a team it's ranked in the top 25. I think you
Mm-hmm.
deserve that opportunity to play on that stage. We talk about all the time. We want schools to get better. You want to grow the game. This is how you grow the game. You give out some people opportunities. You give a team an
Yeah, this is
opportunity, a
great.
chance. I think if
Great.
you shut it down right now, then you have to
Great.
you have to explain why you shut it down. Because what do you do with the Cincinnati team last year that went undefeated? What do you do with the 2017 UCF that went undefeated? What do you do with 2018 UCF that only lost one game? But then those guys don't qualify just because one year you have some crap teams. I think you stick with it. Obviously, you're going to expand the playoff at that point. And then I think you
Yeah.
can look at how you best put that together. But I think for now, while admittedly I
Yeah.
don't think any of these teams are moving the needle or blowing
Right.
anybody's skirt up, I think these are still
Well,
opportunities for teams, and I think they should keep those.
yeah. And you make good points. I like inclusion. That's great. That's awesome. But you also mentioned, UCF and Cincinnati, two of the most recent teams that have made undefeated run and have been highly ranked, but they're both gone. They're both heading to Power Five, and so is Houston. So you're not going to have them in your group of five. So then what are you left with? You're left with Coastal Carolina. You're left with UTSA. You're left with Troy. You're left with Boise State. These teams may make an undefeated run in watered down leagues. I mean, sure. I don't know. I'm trying to think of who in the AAC is left that can make a run.
SMU may still hang around a little
Yeah,
bit.
there's another one. Okay.
Tulane will be
Yeah.
there, right? I mean,
But
did Willie Fritz get
so,
this figured out?
but at least
Boise's still going to be hanging around.
an undefeated UCF team, which didn't really beat a ton of talent, but was in the best group of five conference, in my opinion, and an undefeated Cincinnati team that was also in the best by far group of five conference. I get that. That's okay. But an undefeated, I don't know, SMU team in a conference that's completely watered down or weakened, or a UTSA or Boise State in conferences where there's really no level of competition whatsoever. I just don't want them to get, because you're talking about New Year's Six, which turns into the playoff, and I get what you said. You said, reevaluate it when you get to the playoff. Okay.
Correct.
So the talk is, that a group of five teams is going to be guaranteed a playoff spot. And again, I'm all for inclusion in that respect. I think it'd be fun to see a 12 seed UTSA, get drilled by, how does that work? I'm trying to think. So
Be a 5 seed, I think.
yeah, so at this year it would be USC or whatever. Get drilled by them by 4 touchdowns. That would be fun to watch and all that. But I don't know, man. I'm glad you chose yes, because I was going to have a real hard time arguing no. And the only thing I have is inclusion. And we are in an inclusion world
Well,
where you want to
here's
include
the two things
everybody.
out. I don't think that they deserve a playoff spot. So let me be clear on that. I think
Okay,
as
so
it currently
New Year's
situates,
Six.
they deserve access to a New Year's Six bowl to play another team,
So if
probably
they
in that
swooped in
whatever.
this year and said, we're done with this New Year's Six crap, Tulane, you're not good enough. Coastal Carolina, you're not good enough. Let's pop in a Power Five team. You would say that would not be appropriate.
I would. Yeah. I would think I would need to understand why all of a sudden that had to change. Because here's what I never understood about this entire concept, Mike. And I know you're not a huge basketball guy, but every year March Madness comes around. And
Oh
every
yeah,
year everybody loses their shit. Every time there's a
yeah,
chance for a 15 to beat a 2 or 16 to beat a 1.
awesome.
Anytime you see it on the
It's
score
great.
bug and you see a team that's
Yeah,
taking that team to the wire, everyone turns
yeah,
the channel over. You are where you are. You want to see what happens. And then typically they win that game. They go on to the next round. They get drilled by the other team. And the Cinderella story's over. We move on, right? But in college football, we want no part of that. We want no part of saying, "Hey, can a 12 seed UTSA
yeah.
do any damage against a a
And
5
sometimes it's
seeded
not
Tennessee?"
over.
Right?
I mean, George Mason went to the Final Four.
Yeah, but that's a very
100 years ago.
rare
But I'm just
situation,
saying,
right?
sometimes that 15 seed or whatever gets to the Sweet 16, and it's an amazing story, and it's great, and I love it. But again, there's what 12 to 13 scholarship players on a basketball team. If you have two really good ones or two good ones that are playing at the right time, you can impact an entire game. 85 scholarship players in college football. I don't care who you are. Depth ain't going to do it. The backups last year on Georgia and Alabama were better, arguably,
Sure,
than 90% of the starters on Cincinnati.
sure.
That's save for Sauce Gardner or
But
whatever it
again,
is.
on any given Saturday, Mike, you never know. That's why the ball is in a perfect round
Yeah, I
shape.
mean,
It's
State beat
pointed
Texas
for
A&M.
all kinds of weird things to happen, right?
The whole
Marshall beat
Michigan
Notre
loss.
Dame. Like it's going to happen from
Yeah,
time to time, right? Like,
from
so I'm
time
not
to
saying that
time.
it's going to happen all the time, but I think
I know.
give those guys the opportunity. Sure, it may be a complete bloodbath, but I think
Yeah.
that to take that inclusion spot away now simply because we're saying, hey, you're not good
Oh,
enough. Now, when the
yeah.
expansion happens, let's put it all on the table and figure out what
I
makes
agree.
sense, right?
I
But for
agree.
right now, give if it's
Well,
Tulane, which I don't know if it'll be Tulane or not, but if it's Tulane, give them their just due.
I'll give you one other, and this is going to hurt you deeply to your soul as a UCF guy.
Yeah.
But these Power Five teams don't want to play these freaking New Year's Six. I mean, Georgia almost lost to
Oh,
Cincinnati a couple of years ago. Auburn
yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
give a crap against UCF. That type of lack of
Sounds like it.
care
Sounds like their
leads
problem.
to these, potential upsets. You
Yeah.
don't give a crap. In the NCAA tournament, one loss and you're out. You can't mail it in. In a bowl game, New Year's Six, whoop-de-doo. We got stuck playing UCF. We're not going to play all our best guys. We're not going to care or whatever. It's just different in college
Well,
football.
because
So
that, but I heard you tell me the backups could win, so put the backups in then.
that's a good point.
So
The
play the
backups
third.
don't give, they don't think backups
If
don't
I
give a
heard you
crap
correctly,
either. They
you've
don't give a
got
crap
like
either.
the practice squad from like
They don't
Scott
care.
Bakula from Necessary Roughness coming in there
Yeah.
beating these teams. So might
They
as well
don't
play them
care.
anyway.
Yeah, you could. That's a good point, but they don't care either. Nobody cares. Nobody
Someone's got to
cares.
care. It's not my fault you
Okay,
don't
so
care.
here's the thing: when they come out with the New Year's Six and the playoff rankings, final rankings, and all that stuff, what's the always the most disappointed fan base is who? The ones that get stuck in a New Year's Six bowl game against a group of five, and then the fan base doesn't care. They don't travel well. The team doesn't care. They mail it in. I just think it waters things down. And then listen, I love the group of five. I think there's a niche, honestly. I think you and I should talk off the air about that group of five niche because it's not being hit. There's a sweet spot there for when it comes to group of five recruiting, group of five portal, group of five coverage, group of five NFL. It's great. Those fans are rabid. UCF fans attacked me numerous times over the years. And
Shaquem
it's as
Griffin. I
bad.
remember your Shaquem Griffin take. Yeah.
I was right on that, by the way. No
I mean, you were a
offense to
bit of an
anybody.
asshole about it, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm an asshole. I can't do a victory lap on that one either, but I was 100% right. Why can't I do a victory lap and not be an asshole when I'm right?
That sounds like a personal problem.
But they attack me, and it's with the fever of a Tennessee or the fever of a Nebraska, and it's great. I love it. There's a niche there, and I'm not against it at all. But I'm just saying, this is going to be, you're losing some of the teams that I'm most interested in. I've watched the Cincinnati Georgia game. I watched the UCF Auburn game. I was interested in those games. I'm not interested in UTSA or Coastal
Again, I
Carolina
will
anymore.
admit, once the three teams from the AAC leave, I do think it would be interesting to open it back up and figure out what makes sense. But I think for the
Yeah.
foreseeable future, I think you keep it as is. And if you want to right the ship and try something new once you open this contract back up, then that's fine. But I do think there should always be a spot for inclusion. Like it's more fun that way.